Alrighty, we're on the money run. Let's see. I've got part of the keyway filed off right there so we can advance the timing a little bit on this 660. Ran into a couple of snags this morning when I was going through some of these boxes. Here's my recoil. And the elasto start has elastoed its last elasto, but that's not a big deal. Went by the parts store and new fuel line. This one right here, when I went to go check the fuel filter and the fuel's a little stale, this shouldn't be able to come out this far. I mean, y'all can't tell, but I mean, it's oof. And what got me to go inspect that was, let's take the carburetor and have a look at, let's see if I can, she's a little crunchy. And then you flip over to the fuel pump side, and then let's go in a little tighter. I think this little bit of corrosion, this little surface stuff here will clean up, but that right there is debris from the tank. So that lets you know that somewhere, and that's not a fuel filter problem. That means that this fuel line in some way, shape, or form is compromised. It got a small crack in it, something. So anyway, I'm glad they had a fresh fuel line on the shelf. Performance work we got going on here. A little intake work, 50 off the base, slight opening of the lowers. Don't want to hog anything out too terribly bad. Raise the uppers and kind of sort of shiny exhaust port. You know, the light helps it. I mean, it's not polished, it's just smoothed out. I mean, I didn't get crazy with it. You know, you want mirror finish, that's all well and good. You know, don't forget all the little miscellaneous details. Got to open up the muffler, take the baffle out, port match it to your new exhaust. And I think, other than that, we're pretty good. Let me back this out just a little bit. You know, one of the things you here, let me vent a little bit about my, see, I normally have my go-to steel dealership, and it's right around the corner from me. They're super nice folks, and I always get good service and a straight answer. I mean, it's a mom and pop steel dealership that's also a John Deere dealership. And then there's a larger steel dealership in town that has multiple branches. They do carry more inventory, but I hate going over there because there's only a couple of guys at the parts counter that are actually good. This morning I was there picking up a carburetor they had on hand for a blower, and I needed this fuel line, and he must have spent 10 minutes. Okay, I'm exaggerating. He spent at least 5 minutes poking around on this, and I said, "Hey, Speedy, would you like me to get you a part number?" So I just grabbed my phone, pulled it up on eBay, and gave him a part number. And he goes, "Well, I got that. You want me to order it?" And I was like, "No." So I just stopped by my regular dealership and got this. But I mean, it's just frustrating. You tell me. Seems like a good parts man's tough to come by. And I'm thankful that one of the best parts man in town is a half a mile from my house. Anyway, enough about that. We're going to get this together. This build's a little hotter than I normally do, but this guy's got several ported saws, and he really wants me to go all out. This is going to be a play fun work saw. So I'm hoping. I tried a couple of things and went a little farther than I normally go on a 660, and we'll see how it pays off.
All right, y'all, 7-pin, full count. Not too bad.
All right, now we're gonna move up to an 8-pin. More chain speed, rod to solve a little bit of torque. See if she's got the power to handle it. All right, let's switch over to a 9-pin.
All right, let's do a 9-pin.
Got to be easy on the dogs with that one. Really robs some power. I'll do a little quick video back at the shop. Did a lot of cutting today. I had some anomalies with the bar, the chain, I can't tell you what. So, stay. If you look at some of my first cuts, I don't know if you can see how jagged the kerf is. It was really leaving, here we go, here's one that'll show it a little bit better. It was really binding the saw up in the cut. I flipped the bar over. I mean, you know, maybe it needs to be stoned. You know, it's this new steel chain that got touched up one time. That's all I got. Anyway, so I believe that's good. We'll see you back at the shop.
All right, one more just for fun. We're back to a 7-pin sprocket. I leaned it out a little bit, and let's see if you can hold on.
Now that was fun. I think she likes it a little bit leaner. Y'all, thanks again. We'll see you back at the shop. All right, let's have a little small talk about sprockets. I figured this would be a great platform to run a 7, 8, and 9 pin and show the difference. You've got to have some power when you start stepping up the sprocket. Think about, you know, on a 10-speed bicycle, you know, pedaling uphill in a high gear. You know, obviously you know, if you're coasting downhill, you know, you get more speed. So that's what a larger rim sprocket will get you. It'll get you more chain speed, but what you give up is grunt. Excuse me. So I'll show you, you know, and it doesn't look like it's that big a difference, but let's put, I'm trying to think of something to give some scale to this. But so when you look at your standard 7-pin sprocket or 7-tooth sprocket, and then you step up to an 8, I don't know if I can stand these up and we can look at them. And that really, maybe that'll be a little bit better. Stay. That ain't gonna, is it? You know, you're really stepping up. That 9-pin racing sprocket, I mean, you know, that's better suited for, you know, when you get to 9 and 10-pin sprockets, is taking a 90cc saw that's been hopped up, running a short bar on it, and really getting the chain speed up with a big sprocket. So, I mean, you kind of see how they rob the power. I was actually a little tentative on the tuning. I did some different things with the port work on this one. Hey, check this out. So for those of you who have 660s and don't like the traditional cap, this cap actually comes off of like an FS91, FS131, and it works like a champ. I think that's a much better substitute. I'm gonna start using that from now on, because it's got a nice big fat O-ring on it as opposed to the little flat O-ring washer. So we're almost done with this one. I still need a clutch cover. You know, I don't know how the bolts held on for so long to waller those out so bad, or how that happened, but anyway, once we get a fresh clutch cover for this, got some more bling and good looking stuff for this. Again, you know, what an easy bolt-on, good-looking mod that sounds great. Thanks, Gordy. What else we got? Max Flow's on here. You know, and here's one of the questions. When you get a kit with a Max Flow in it, and I know somebody's out there and they're like, he's such a Max Flow fanboy. You know, I mean, it's simple. You just got to wash this out every once in a while, re-oil it, and poof, it's forever. As long as you take care of it, don't ding it up. You get 2 plates, and one plate is for the housing that's right here that goes underneath, and that gives the rigidity of the thing. So this right here is, they call the actual filter cover a rain cover. So you can run this in, you know, misting rain, something light rain, but you know, if it's raining, well, just go find some shelter and quit cutting. Oh, just to show that everybody's fallible, here's a muffler cover that I had. It's an old Chinese one. I used to buy the whole muffler for 461s, just to get the dual port cover. The dual port cover was more than the whole muffler. Anyway, so I cut the baffle out of this, port matched it and everything else. And anybody that does this for a living knows that the 661 has a swell right here. So when you look at that, this swell right here, oh yeah, I spent all this time making this muffler cover, and yeah, that doesn't work. So we talked about this. Ooh, I filled up my 2 gas cans today. I feel like I stuck it to the man. I got 4 gallons of gas for $16, non-ethanol. Jeez. I guess it beats $20. That's a lot of money just to run the lawnmower and some chainsaws. Let's see, what else we got? So we talked about the sprockets. I think this saw came out great. You know, when I look back at how this ran with a 7-pin sprocket and leaning it out just a little bit, and, you know, sometimes you know, I always try to err on the side of caution when I tune something. I want to make sure that it's right there in the sweet spot, you know, not too fat so you got some performance. You know, when you tune, if you take gas away, you lose power. If you add too much, you lose power. So you sit there right in that sweet spot. And I did some different things with this 660 and went outside of my normal build for this. And this setup with the smaller intake port from factory. So this actually has a smaller intake port. There's some epoxy in it. And it actually seemed to like the velocity by tightening that up. So when I turned that screw in for the high side, she really ripped, and I think it actually increased the power band just a little bit. I felt like I could lean on it. I got more RPM, so that means I'm cutting faster. It wasn't as easy to dog in and lose power or fall out of the power band. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Y'all appreciate everything that your support, the comments, and the questions. I'm about caught up on some of my repair work. I've got a 661 to do that I mentioned a while back. I've got a Wiseco piston for it, and I need to match that up and find out where everything lands. I talked to Dave from CCC Racing, and he said there's some changes there. He said might open up some different avenues or some different ideas. They didn't just copy a 661 piston. It does have a dome, and I feel like the skirts are a little bit wider. I haven't set it side by side next to, but I'm super stoked to get to that 661. That's just going to be a fun ripper kind of saw. Anyway, I'm still waiting on a 261 from my go-to dealer. And I got all excited. I was in the dealership today, and he was like, hey, did you want a 201? And I was like, no, that was for somebody else. And I was like, dang, I thought my saw came in. So anyway, we'll get back to the oil tests. And I think this was a great build. Had to fix a few things along the way, but I mean, that's expected. You know, it's a U saw in good condition. And this is the second owner, and he wanted some performance work done. So I think Kevin's going to enjoy the shit out of this. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for everything.